Zoroastrianism, one of the world's most ancient religions, is followed by the people of a small village in Persia around 600 BCE. The villagers practiced the maxim, good thoughts, good words, good deeds, through many prayers and ceremonies meant to bring them closer to their god, Ahura Mazda, and distance themselves from evil. However, these people face a dilemma, the issue that evil exists within all men, no matter how clean and righteous. Seeking a more pure existence, they devise a way to rid themselves of their inherent evil. That is, they intend to exclude one of their own and declare them the source of all the world's evil, as doing so would, according to their reasoning, transfer all evil into a single person, a single identity, a single symbol, one they could all blame for their transgressions. While pathetic, this is the path they choose. Of their village, they capture a single, good-natured man without any talents and ritually torture him through insanity by battering him. They carve onto his body every cursed word to force every imaginable sin onto him. They extract various pieces of him. This torture continues. He is prevented from dying, defiled by evil acts. In that time, he undoubtedly loathes the world and the humans who senselessly torture him. Hatred becomes his default emotion, a feeling he embodies even when forgiving his people. His only salvation is to die from old age, but even in that solace, he is cursed, going down in Zoroastrian doctrine as the Persian god of darkness, Angra Mainyu. Unexpectedly, his treatment relieves his people, easing their troubled minds. In a bizarre fashion, his martyrdom is heroic. His legend as an evil god and his unwilled sacrifice are recorded into the throne of heroes. In this state, he is able to witness history, the passage of time on his village. He observes, as generations rise and fall, his friends and family pass on, and people continue to scorn him. Through this, despite his hatred, he finds a part of himself that loves the world. Thanks to this, he ultimately accepts the role of all the world's evils. In the modern era, the Einsburn family seeks an advantage, something to give themselves an upper hand during the Third Holy Grail War. They set out to summon a new type of servant not included among the war's original classes. Succeeding in this endeavor, the Einsburns summon Angra Mainyu into a new class, Avenger. Replacing the traditional Berserker class, he takes the form of a pure calamity of evil, one the Einsburns hope will decimate the competition. Contrary to their expectations, Angra Mainyu is exceptionally weak and is easily defeated early into the war. His mana is gathered into the Lesser Grail, and his mind becomes trapped within the Grail system. This corrupts the Holy Grail, which interprets Angra Mainyu's presence as the wish humanity desires to have granted. The Grail accepts him as humanity's wish for all the world's evils. From then on, any wish made to the Grail is answered through death and destruction, twisting even the most noble intentions into catastrophes. To successfully complete the Heaven's Feel ritual is to succeed in birthing the soul of Angra Mainyu into a physical form. Additionally, the Grail becomes capable of summoning both heroes and anti-heroes during future wars. When summoned, Angra Mainyu's true form is that of a shadowy void, but he can choose to inhabit the form of others to communicate. During the Fourth Holy Grail War, Kiritsugu Emiya joins as a master with the hope of using the Grail to achieve world peace, something he believes only a miracle can accomplish. He is a ruthless killer during his battles, resorting to trickery and betrayal to slay his opponents. This incurs the disdain of his servant Saber, who accuses him of using evil tactics. In response, he exclaims that if he has to carry all the evils of the world to create world peace, then he'll gladly accept that role. With these words, Angra Mainyu yearns to be born from the mana gathered for the Holy Grail in order to contact Kiritsugu. As the war progresses, Kiritsugu's wife, Iris Fiel von Einsburn, begins her transformation into the Lesser Grail, exposing her to the corruption of the Greater Grail. She is enveloped in darkness and tainted by Angra Mainyu's presence. In his final battle, Kiritsugu faces off against Kirei Kotomine until the ceiling collapses above them, drowning them in the Grail's black mud. In this manner, Angra Mainyu reaches out to Kiritsugu in a dreamlike state, taking the form of Irisfeel. As Kiritsugu is confronted by his own ideologies, he realizes the Grail has become corrupt and rejects it despite being acknowledged as the victor. Angered by this rejection, Angra Mainyu curses Kiritsugu to regret his choice until his dying day. Having been rejected by Kiritsugu, Angra Mainyu instead appears to Kirei, who lies on the ground, shot through the heart. Kirei's hatred for Kiritsugu fills his mind, and he realizes his true wish is humanity's destruction. Even though Kiritsugu orders his servant to destroy the Grail with Excalibur, only the Grail's container is destroyed, while the contents flood the city in a massive fire, the manifestation of Kirei's wish. The black mud soaks into Kirei's dead body and revives him with an artificial black heart. This mud also pours upon Gilgamesh, forcing him into contact with Angra Mainyu. Gilgamesh is told about the ugliness of mankind, and he accepts it. As part of his kingship, it is his duty to bear the burden of humanity. Thus, as a king, he will fix that ugliness himself. Gilgamesh is ejected from the mud, with a physical body reborn again in the modern era. In the aftermath of the Great Fire, Zoken Mato obtains a piece of the Grail and secretly implants it into his adopted granddaughter Sakura, making her into a second lesser Grail for when the Fifth Grail War commences. Angra Mainyu then tries to use Sakura's body as a vessel to be reborn as a literal manifestation of all the world's evils. He incubates within the greater Grail hidden beneath Mount Enzo, corrupting Sakura until she fully succumbs to the darkness. Ultimately, she is saved, and the greater Grail is destroyed. While Angra Mainyu consumed the Grail in order to be reborn, he still functions as the Grail in its role as a wish-granting device. Unable to be reborn, and unable to fulfill anyone's wish, Angra Mainyu searches for an unanswered wish in his final moments. Prior to the Fifth Holy Grail War, Bizet Fraga McRemitz, a magus from the church, was invited to join the war by Kirei. Just as she managed to summon her servant Lancer, Kirei betrayed her, amputating her arm and stealing her command seals. Kirei leaves her to die. In her barely conscious state, she wishes desperately not to die. Angra Mainyu's desire to fulfill a wish meets with Bizet's desire to live, and the result is a temporal loop, whereby Bizet continually fights a repeating reconstruction of the Fifth Holy Grail War by night, while Angra Mainyu lives out the ordinary life of Shiro Emiya by day. This is to preserve Bizet's mental state while vegetative. Angra Mainyu, having never participated in the Fifth Grail War, instead tries to recreate the war using his memories from the Third Grail War. In this recreation, he fights as her servant, once again in the Avenger class, appearing through a distortion of Shiro as his shell. Of all the servants, Avenger is clearly the weakest, insisting that Bizet's skills outrank his own during combat. Regardless, he fights using two weapons, Tarich and Zarich, which were fashioned from beasts' fangs and worshipped as real demon fangs. They can be used to attack, repel sword strikes, and even be shot as projectiles. Despite this, the two weapons are not noble phantasms and can be destroyed easily. While he is useless against other servants, he excels at massacring humans. His only merit in combat seems to be the temporal loop itself, unlimited raise dead, infinite ruin, which allows him to resurrect in the evening before battle. All of this is ultimately a farce, a causal anomaly created by Bizet's critical condition. This changes, however, when Kirei's daughter, Karin Hortensia, arrives in Fuyuki and nurses Bizet back to health. While Bizet is no longer dead, she doesn't know it, and intentionally preserves the temporal loop in order to stay alive, as well as to prevent Avenger from fading into nothingness. Ultimately, Avenger himself learns vicariously through his time as Shiro that he is actually preventing Bizet's awakening, contradicting her wish to live. As it turns out, Avenger has his own wish, to live a normal life without the stigma of Angra Mainyu. To set things right, Avenger fights alongside the other servants caught in the temporal loop against other fragments of himself. He reaches the loop's grail and frees Bizet by returning to the void. In the end, The nightmarish tragedy of the man who became known as Angra Mainyu manages to not only save a woman's life, but also help him find his own happiness through saving her. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then go check out some of my other lore videos. It's my goal to make one of these for virtually every servant in the Nasuverse, and I would appreciate your support through that journey. The best way would be to become a patron of the channel. We offer different reward tiers, ranging from early access to the chance to suggest your very own video. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to OtakuDaiKun for more anime lists, reviews, discussions, lore videos, let's plays, and the Holy Waifu Wars. Until next time, celebrate your fandom.